Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Season 5 draft of the SRL. Today, I'm joined by Blair Curtin and Snicko Bro. My name's Dustin Richards. Boys, long-awaited time here. Season 5 draft, how are you feeling?
G'day, Dusty. Yeah, Blair Curtin here, and absolutely, Season 5, it's been an exciting one for the Mines. It's their biggest season yet. We've got 17 draftees today. Every team except the Panthers will be drafting.
Yeah, Dusty, I'm excited. This is Snicko here, ready to bring the big stick energy. Let's see what the Miners have given us for the season and see which players get stuck there for another one. Anyway, over to you.
Well, boys, let's talk about it. Blair mentioned it earlier, the Storm only drafting one player this season. And having a look at this team that we've got, there's been a lot of speculation around it. Of course, Corey Bell, Will Kay, Sam Herbin, and Sonny Taylor will likely make up the spine. Looking at this team sheet, 17, that's where they need to fill. A rookie forward, I think that's what they need to target. What about you boys?
Yeah, absolutely. You'd only really ever be looking to have one back on your bench, and one moment, I believe that they have that already with Blake Harris. So it'll be a forward, most likely a second rower, I'd say. Someone who can cover a couple of positions, but slip into the centres if necessary.
Yeah, the developmental. Sorry, Snicker.
I was going to say, I think they might go a bit left field. I heard along the grapevine, Will Kay's been talking to Goku Simpson. Will that eventuate? I'm not sure, but something to watch.
Well, let's bring it over to Liam Ryan now, who will be announcing the first pick of the Season 5 draft.
And without further ado, the first overall pick in the Season 6 draft, the Melbourne Storm select Riley Murray, Bathurst Blue Tongues.
Riley Murray, Bathurst Blue Tongues. Wow. To be honest, I think Blair nailed it on the head. They needed a second rower. And that's Riley Murray. Showed up day in and day out in the Mines.
Yeah, absolutely. And, he was rewarded in the Mines by being given the captaincy of the Blue Tongues. I do think he definitely got some help from having Tyre there at the back end of the season. But he did lead them to the first premiership of the expanded 5-team Mines. And I reckon this is a really smart play from Will Kay.
See, I have a lot of respect for Will Kay, and I'm not sure I agree with his decision. Like, Riley Murray, number one draft pick, darling of the SRL, but you run off Sonny Tyre for a season in the Mines, you're going to do well. Now the pressure comes. He's number one. All eyes are on him. We saw what happened to Manu fight with Philly. Does Will Kay want both of them on the roster at the same time? I guess that's why he's the captain and we all just talk about it.
Well, yeah, I get where you're coming from, but respectfully, mate, I would say that he only had Tyre outside him, or inside him, I should say, for 4 games or so? Hardly the full season. The Blue Tongues were in finals contention up until that point. And, I don't think they would have won the premiership without Tyre, but what Muzza did, he got there definitely on his own 2 feet, and he definitely deserves a high draft pick.
Yeah, look, I would agree. Riley Murray, he's also active in the SRL. Of course, he's got Into the Minds podcast, so he's got a name out there. He would have been a sought-after character for sure. Just noting, 85 speed and 69 strength. That's the 2 stats I want to put out there. Coming off the bench, I think Riley could be upgrading that speed. I don't know if that spreadsheet that we've got is updated correctly, but we'll soon find out once everything is changed over to the new spreadsheets. But now let's move on to the Warriors. The Warriors were a team this season that were unfortunately not the greatest. They had a lot of promise and they didn't show up for it at times. However, they did have some key players there. Of course, Chance Bunce, Liam Rogers, and Jai McCartney moving to 9. So they got those positions filled. First draft pick 2. What do you reckon they are picking, boys?
Is that even a question? It's Marcus Square. This is the worst kept secret in the SRL. Snicko don't even bother denying it.
What do you think of Marcus Square, Blair? I think you get along great. What do you think?
I think
Well-
I'll decline to answer that question.
Well, let's not even wait for it. Let's go over to Liam Ryan.
The second pick in the SRL Season 6 draft is in by the Warriors. The Warriors just elected to take Marcus Square, fullback, Bathurst Blue Tongues.
There you go. Second Bathurst
Great
Blue
pick.
Tongues in a row. Coming. Great stuff for Marcus Square. He's a speed demon. He's got max speed already. That's very rare for a Mines bloke. Snicko, take it away, mate. What do you think of him?
Marcus Square, great player, great bloke, great teammate. I'm excited to have him on our team. I'm sure he's going to prove a lot of guys wrong. I think Blue Tongue Monday, Blue Tongue Tuesday, Blue Tongue Wednesday, all the way through was the best thing the Mines player has ever done. And so for him to be rewarded, I'm just so happy for him.
Blair, what do you think?
I think I'm going to leave anything personal out of this. Purely speaking, as a player, I think he fits in well to the Warriors system, such as it is. They lost MBT to the Storm, and I think he'll step into that role on MBT's former wing, and I think he's got every chance of success there. The bloke can play footy.
100%. And, it'll be interesting what edge he plays because they also have another ringer coming to the club in Aaron White. He's a ringer from Rabbitohs, so we'll see how they go. Coming out of the back end, Chance Bunce, he's going to be leading a very rocky back three, I believe, because they don't have much experience starting.
A very potent back three, I would say. I wouldn't use the word rocky, personally.
Potent? All right, I'll believe you, Snicko. But can you give us an insight, Snicko? Where are you playing? Are you starting? Are you on the bench? Are you bringing that X factor?
I think I'll bring the X factor no matter where I play. But as to final lineup, you'll have to wait for the first team list Friday of the season. Thanks for the question, though.
No worries, mate. Alrighty, moving on to the Newcastle Knights, the no longer rookie club of the SRL. This is a team that have a bit of space to fill, especially in their outside backs. They could fit up to 3 outside backs if they wanted to.
Oh, Dusty, it's the Eels.
Oh, it's the Eels. This is my bad, boys. My bad. Having a look at it, Eels, they've lost Kennedy, which is just a bit scary for them. How do we reckon they go? They have to go a fullback this first pick, don't they?
I don't know if they'll necessarily pick a fullback, but it's definitely going to be someone from one of those back 5 positions. They've still got a fair few experienced blokes in the back 5. They've got Mendonca, they've got Crimp. I don't think they'll run Freeburn at fullback. So I reckon they could pick any couple of blokes from the back 5, put their rookies on the wing, have a couple of experienced, strong defenders in the centres, and run an experienced bloke at fullback still. They've got a lot of options here.
I think anyone keeping up with player-made content can probably see where this pick's going. There's been one particular player who's professed his love for the Eels. Luke Schott's a great guy. I'm sure he wouldn't let someone down and not pick someone who's already said how much they love the Eels. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I got Cyrus marks all day here, boys. But there's only one way we can tell. Liam Ryan, take it away.
And with the third pick in the SRL Season 6 draft, we have the Parramatta Eels selecting Riker Manu, Hamilton Swarm, fullback.
Raiku Manu. There you go. How are you feeling, boys?
No real surprises there. Perhaps a bit of a conservative pick because they can only cover 2 positions in the back 5. But aside from that, I reckon it's a great pick. Manu, I believe he was the captain of the Swarm.
Yes.
Yep.
I believe.
And so, look, they were a bit unlucky to miss out on finals. But they definitely had some solid performances in there, and I reckon he'll fit into the system well.
Eureka Manu, he's been in the mines for a while, but he's probably sitting in his lounge room right now saying Eureka.
Well, I versed him last season as Snicko did, and he was a beast to play against. I believe everyone in the mines is relieved that he's leaving. So, with that, to correct myself, we will now go into Newcastle, which was my bad earlier. Sorry, lads. Newcastle, like I said, a couple outside back options they could take. They could even go for a rookie forward if they wanted to. Where do you see them going first? The outside backs or the forward?
Definitely the outside backs. Mark Iron, he's not been re-signed, and they had him at centre for most of the season. I reckon they'll play it safe and put another outside back in with their first pick.
I agree with Blair, which isn't happening very often. So if we're both saying the same thing, I think we know where this is going.
Yeah, it's bound to happen. But with that, let us move on to Liam Ryan.
And thank you, Dusty. And with the 4th overall draft pick in the Season 6 draft, the Newcastle Knights select Hone King, Hamilton Swarm. And with that, the Cowboys are on the clock.
Hone King from the Hamilton Swarm. Second Swarm to go with there. What are we thinking, boys? Hone King. Are we fans of Hone?
Sorry, is it Hone or Honor? Just as
I believe it's
have-
Hone, and
Hone,
I'm a big
okay.
fan. He's been putting in the hard yards all season, working hard. I was a bit shocked the Knights didn't go with Cyrus Marks. I've heard Dom Ponkston refer to him as his son. So obviously the SRL means more to Dom than his family, which, I mean, is to their own. But yeah, Hone King, pretty...
As the outside backs with two more
Absolutely.
spots to fill.
And, he's got really strong acceleration as well and a decent amount of strength for an outside back. So I reckon, look, I'm with Snicko here. As he said, that does not happen particularly often. This is a good pick.
Well, let's talk about picks, because next up, it's the Season 4 Premiership winners, the Cowboys, about to pick. This was the Cowboys that were slightly unlucky to make the finals this year. Where do we reckon we go? They're losing Luka Moscow and Kausakau. So, like many clubs, do you think they're going to follow in with a outside back as the first round?
Yeah, quite probably. Maybe a second rower who can fill in at centre to really help the defensive centre side of things. The Cowboys did have some moments over the course of the season where they were defensively not great, and that's part of perhaps why they didn't end up making finals and really lost that chance to defend their premiership early. So, look, again, there's quite a few options here. I'm really interested to see how they go here.
If I'm the Cowboys, I'm probably wondering where it all went wrong. Premiers last year, out of the top 4 this year, knocked out in the plate, and now they can only draft 260 rated rookies. Look, it's not looking crash hot for them, but if anyone can turn it around, it's Chris Lord and Damian Moana.
100%, two masterminds of the game. Blair mentioned something about a second rower filling in that centre if need be. If that's the case, I'm probably going Ruben Mobbs. He's got max tackle break for a second rower. If I'm Damien or Chris, I'm going Ruben Mobbs. But there's only one person who knows, and that's Liam Ryan.
And with the 5th overall draft pick, the North Queensland Cowboys select Kobe Kelly, Bathurst Blue Tongues.
Another Blue Tongues player takes it. Kobe Kelly, boys. And there's Blue Tongue supremacy here.
I mean, there's some recency bias, isn't there? They're a side that won the premiership. They're going to have a lot of eyes on them. And look, don't get me wrong. Kelly can definitely play. So they've decided to go with the specialist outside back, which suggests that he might be on the wing rather than centre. in which case he's probably a bit more of a like-for-like replacement for Moscow. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Let's see how they go.
I think Kobe Kelly's another player that can probably send Marcus Square a thank you gift. Say thanks for making the Blue Tongues a favourite team of the SRL, because I'm not sure he would have been drafted if that didn't happen. Having said that, there's only so many 60-rated rookies, and Kelly's, like Blair said, he's going to slot into that Cowboys team nicely. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see how that all pans out.
Yeah, 100%.
Thanks, Nico.
Look, speed demon Kobe Kelly is, so having Tatero Maxwell and Kobe Kelly on those wings, or even centre if they need be, that's going to be a dangerous back.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a lot of speed coming out, a lot of kick return meters, and look, the Blue Tongues definitely have some recency bias here, I feel, but these are all blokes you can play, so let's play some ball.
Let's play some ball indeed. Now, here we go. Rabbitohs. It's our time to pick. Where do we see us? I'll let you boys talk. Where do you see the Rabbitohs picking?
We're also a little bit unlucky not to make finals. They just couldn't quite put enough points on the Warriors in the last round to get there. Looking at the lineup for the Rabbitohs, look, if we're looking at this, they're definitely looking for someone who can slot into the forwards and probably someone who can be a utility, maybe a hooker primary, because they can cover 3 out of 4 of the spine positions in case someone gets injured or Hellier can't quite fire in that hooker position. But I'll be interested to see how you guys pick here.
If I was the Rabbitohs, I'd be looking for a starting hooker. I know Rex Buckingham's been in the mines for a while. He'd be a great pick, or even Matt Galaxy. But yeah, I think that's where the real big hole is in the Rabbitohs squad. It's a hooker, and that's who they should go after.
So where do you see him playing Hellier then?
I probably would send him back to the mines if I could, but otherwise off the bench.
Well, I don't
Snicko's
think
got
we're
no
going to
chill.
do that, and I'm going to tell Liam not to do that because I have faith in him. What the issue with us last season was, we had a outside back, a half, and 2 forwards on our bench. This time around, we need to have more forwards. So I'm hoping that Liam Ryan right now can give us some luck. Take us away, mate.
And with the 6th overall draft pick in the season 6 draft, the South Sydney Rabbitohs select Filippo Gould, Firehawks, lock.
Not only am I happy it's a Firehawk, it's Filippo Gould. He can cover lock, prop, and hooker, as you said. He's got super strength. I'm buzzing over this one.
Well, if it's a super strength lock, I certainly hope you don't end up having to play him at hooker. Yeah, look, great pick. So you're probably looking to beef up your defense then if you go on a super strength lock. I didn't see the hugest amount of Filippo Gould, so I'm definitely not going to pretend to be an expert there. But looking at his stats on the spreadsheet here, he's definitely got what it takes to succeed in the SRL.
I think Filippo's a great pick. Not only is he a gun, he falls under the category of players with gun names. And I have a personal theory that the better your name is, the better you perform. Look at Chance Bunce, look at KCK. And not only that, blue hair, and he hits hard. Look, you've got a stud. That's all I can say.
Well, look, mate, this is outstanding. I'm surprised he didn't throw shade at the Firehawks as well as Hellier, this little pick. He's also Samoan, so Samoan, he's going to bloody hit you hard. I can't wait to see him play. I think now he fills up our utility spot.
Was he the first Firehawk drafted, Dusty?
What was that, sorry?
Was he the first Firehawk drafted?
No, Manu was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well...
Yeah, look, I'm not going to punch down on the Firehawks. They're a beaten bunch. Like, you wouldn't want to be them at the moment, and I'm not going to heap any more onto them.
Thanks, mate. Really appreciated. Moving on.
I mean, they're not the Hogs.
All right, no shade, boys. No shade. Looking at this, we now have the Canberra Raiders. Everyone in the chat, I can see you spamming Cyrus Marks. You boys, they need a centre.
I've had a chat with Jordan. He and I, we know each other pretty well. I did ask him, and this is before I actually knew he became captain, but I did ask him sort of where the Raiders' minds were at in terms of their recruitment, and he's told me defence. They know that they have the ability to put the points on the board to win a premiership. They want players who can help lock it down and ensure that they can defend their leads. So instinctively, I'm saying someone big, someone up front, or someone who hits hard on an edge.
Well, we all know that Canberra love hitting hard. Someone who hits hard himself, Snicko, bro. What are you thinking, mate?
Yeah, look, I don't have much to say about the Raiders, to be honest. Grand final losers, obviously going to look on the up. I have a lot of trust in Jordan, have a lot of trust in Tim James. Wherever they end up, I'm sure they'll fill a hole. Yeah, look, to be honest, I don't really care who they draft. That's all I got to say.
Well, I'm having a look at it right now. I'm a big fan of Tim James. You can even call me a stan. He knows what he's doing. Liam Ryan, take it away.
And with the 7th overall pick in the Season 6 SRL Draft, the Canberra Raiders select Ruben Mobbs, Bathurst Blue Tongues, second row.
There you go, hard hit in second row right there. Another Blue Tongue. Outstanding performance by the Blue Tongues tonight. Boys, it's Blue Tongue Sunday, all right? It's come early. It's no longer Blue Tongue Monday. It's Blue Tongue Sunday. What do we reckon?
Look, it's a great pick. Mobo's a good bloke, and frankly, most of the Blue Tongues are pretty good blokes. I don't have anything against the team generally. So
who do you have it against then as part of the Blue Tongues?
I'll decline to answer that question, Snicko. So yeah, look, I really hope Mobo does well. And you know, with the reveal that Jordan's the new captain, I certainly hope that there's the support there from Mobo, and that in turn everything from the Raiders goes well in giving a rookie player the support that he in turn needs.
Yeah, I agree. Great pick. I do wonder if he's another player that has to flick Marcus Square a thank you message. Another Blue Tongue drafted. Were they that good, or did they just have Sonny Tyre? I guess we'll never know.
So how much thanks does Marcus owe Sonny Tyre in your opinion, Snicko?
Well, Sonny Tyre didn't start Blue Tongue Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So that generated a lot of the hype. So I'd say they're probably equally to thank for their for all the Blue Tongues draft positions. Riley Murray, from what I heard, told him what to upgrade speed, which is going to help. But would everyone be active if they weren't winning? I'm not sure. Were they winning because of Marcus and Sonny? Definitely.
I definitely agree with you on the Sonny bit. I'll give you that much.
Well, here's the thing, boys. They need a centre, and they need a bench forward. Do you play Mobs at centre with Johnny Boy Manava leaving?
That's definitely something you could consider. It wouldn't surprise me though to see the Raiders maybe pick, because they've got 2 draft picks. They might take one of the later on centres as their choice. It'll really depend on their second round draft pick. If their second round draft pick's another forward, then it's definitely Mobbo to centre. Otherwise, it'd be a specialist back 5 player at centre and Mobbo off the bench. Let's see how things play out.
100%. Well, let's move on to the Broncos now. Broncos, outstanding this season. Unlike opinion, not to get to the grand final. I thought they were one of the best teams in the comp. Certainly showed it under new leadership of Jack Carl. Big thing is, I think they have all back 5 spots filled out. They have Brody Kennedy and Joey Kelly, who are going to be fighting for that fullback spot. Where do you see them picking in this first round?
I think they're going to be picking for the bench. Most of the Broncos seem pretty well set up for the starting 13. I reckon it's going to be a couple of utilities, someone who can fill in a lot of positions that they'll pick. And yeah, massive shout out to Jack Carl. It's really easy to forget that the Broncos were the season 4 wooden spooners, and he really reversed their fortunes. It was definitely his understanding of the game and his leadership that I really think got him there. And having played with the Broncos after that mid-season transfer, I got to say Jack really improved my personal understanding of the game. So I know he's going to pick well.
Nico?
Yeah, I agree. Earlier I said great player, great bloke about Marcus Square. I'm not sure I could say either about Jack, but I will say he's a tremendous captain. He has a lot of history picking locks because they have the higher base skill to play as props. I'm not sure if he'll go the same way again like he did with Justin Monkey, but that paid off pretty well for him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he double dipped and went back to the well.
Well, if that's the case, Jordan Williams has now departed the club, moving to Manly, I believe.
Yeah, Manly, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, if that's the case, what if they have a start in prop there for the taking? Do they go for that lock to prop?
Yeah, knowing like history is the best indicator of future, right? You got to think they're going to do the same thing. It worked out well for him this season. I see no reason why that would change.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Liam Ryan, you're the man who knows. Take it away, brother.
The Brisbane Broncos select with the eighth overall draft pick. They select Ryan Wilmette, another Bathurst Blue Tongue prop. I'm pretty sure.
Bloody hell! Well, that's not the information I have. Sorry, Liam. Ryan is a actual lock. So Snicko, the genius himself, called it. Snicko, take it away. What do you think
Well,
of
they say
Ryan?
a broken clock's right twice a day, and maybe this is one of those times. But yeah, look, if Justin Monkey's any indicator, Ryan will be a big success. There's that starting prop job sitting there for him. I'd just be careful that you fit into that Broncos team because I've heard they're not shy about trading blokes away and getting blokes in like Blair. What do you think?
I think that you're a little bit needlessly cynical there, Snicko. I did make this clear to you earlier that was a trade that I'd asked for. To say that they just make trades willy-nilly is pretty inaccurate. But yeah, look, Jack's one of the highest IQ blokes in the game. It has been identified over the past season that locks are going to make better props than primary props do. That's just a bit of a quirk of Rugby League Live 4. And I think this is another really smart pick.
Yeah, look, what I like about Ryan myself is that he's a fitness freak. He can play a lot of minutes. You can see him upgrading a fair bit. So we'll see how we go. But moving on
there,
now.
Dusty? Yeah. All right. Cool.
Sorry, mic cut out there, boys. Sorry for the technical difficulties. With Ryan being a fitness freak, do you reckon he plays big minutes? Because I don't think we saw big minutes from Justin this season.
Not necessarily. But having that high fitness does definitely give some options in terms of maybe he gets 40 minutes at lock and then maybe another 20 at the end as prop, which that extra fitness will really help with. I doubt he's going to be an 80-minute player, but definitely helps getting a player up to 60.
Yeah, I agree. They also have Jake Scott there. He can also play in the starting forward pack if he likes. I know Jake personally. Great player. Always active in the chat, I believe.
Tremendous player.
Tremendous. Yeah, you played alongside him. Snicko, what can you tell us about him?
About Jake Scott, man,
Yeah.
what I wouldn't do to play with that guy again. The sheds we had were legendary. But we're not talking about last year's mines, we're talking about this year's. So I'll leave it at that.
Well, going next, we have the Premiership winners. The Sea Eagles. Where you were part of their system for a little bit this season. You got traded from them.
Yeah. So I had a chat with Matty as well in the lead up, and they're definitely interested in getting a couple of players. And so with where Matt's mind's at, one sec, I'll take another look. They're definitely looking for someone who can hit it up in the scrum pack, and they're also looking for a utility. I think they're looking to fill out their 16 and 17 spots on their roster. Maybe someone who can play 40 at lock, because we know that Matt's leaving the lock position for the second row. I'll be really interested to see how that plays out. And I figure that their utility is going to be someone in the back line. Maybe they'll pick someone like a primary fullback who can cover fullback, centre, and the two halves positions.
That's a great shout. What about you, Snicko?
I might be incorrect, but losing Corey Bell, do they have anyone to replace him, or are they going to be going back to the mines, do you think?
KCK and Tyler Reston.
Well, then forget what I was going to say. I have no idea. But Matty Harris, he's proven he's the best in the game, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, we'll see what the mastermind comes up with. Matty Harris. He's been tremendous for the SRL with his decision making. But Liam Ryan, give us the pick.
With the 9th overall pick in the Season 6 draft, the Manly Sea Eagles select Lachlan Holmes, winger. And a side note, 6 of the 9 first round draft picks have been Bathurst Blue Tongues players. Tremendous for them.
Lockie Holmes makes his debut for the Sea Eagles next season. He's going to be he's a primary winger. He can play winger, centre, and fullback. So Blair got it again. Interesting to note, 6 out of 6 of the first round picks were Blue Tongues.
Yeah, Lockie is an interesting pick. Not least because I think there was a little bit of concern about his activity upgrading. He might have gone back to trial for a little while there. So Matt's really good at getting the best out of his players. If it comes down to it, he will hassle Lockie until he does upgrade. So I really have no concerns there. And I reckon they'll do pretty solidly. I think he might come in as a centre. I think that it'll be Weston on the wing still.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's see how things go.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Ben O'Donnell started on the... No, it was Dylan Sharp. I'm sorry. Dylan Sharp started at the bench for the grand final. Ben O'Donnell played in the centres. We'll see, and they also have Ethan Goodwin. So we'll see how that back five plays out. Of course, it's going to be... I think we all know that Chaz Dingo is going to play one, KCK on the wing, and Isaac Edwards in the 6. But, you know, I'm not Matty Harris. He's still got some decision-making to do.
One thing I know about Matty Harris is that he loves to pull his starting centres off at half-time and re-inject them into the game on the auto sub at 60 minutes as replacement props, because he can do that under the Rugby League Live 4 system. So, knowing Matt, he'll probably run one off the bench and then have his centres come back into the game late in that middle forward position to add extra speed and some real electricity in that middle.
Snicko, what's your take on this, mate?
I agree with Blair, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it all pans out. A lot of the Mines guys don't like the idea of coming off the bench and only playing little minutes. Maybe Lockie Holmes has talked to Matt Harris about it and he's happy to take on the role. But yeah, I think any time you draft someone to put them on the bench and give them no minutes, you're going to run the risk that they're going to leave the next season. Will that happen? I don't know. If it does happen, come back to this and call me genius.
Well, having a look at it, Lockie Holmes, he has a 62 strength, and if you're going to start him and put him on the bench for the auto sub. You want your sub to have a lot of strength. That's something that Lockheed doesn't have yet. You can upgrade that if you.
Something I'll point out here: it wouldn't be if you're starting on the bench. It won't be him that gets auto subbed on. He'd come on as a replacement centre at halftime. Someone like Ethan Goodwin would come off, and then Ethan Goodwin comes on in the middle on the 60-minute auto sub, because that's how the system works, because he'd be the lowest number player.
That's correct, and I was only speaking about if Lockie were to start in this 13. But yeah, great insight there by Blair Curtin. Love to see it, mate. Next up, no Storm pick for this next round. We're going to go to round 2, ladies and gentlemen. Going to go to the Warriors this time around. Start off round 2. They got Marcus Square. Where do we see them going now?
Well, if you look at our team list, we needed a winger and we needed a forward. So obviously a forward's coming in. Who's it going to be? We'll have to wait and see. But Buns is the man. Anyone he picked is going to perform. You saw it this year with me and Keith. We got drafted. We performed immediately. Will it happen again? Probably.
Well, Blair, what do you think? If you were Chance Bunce, who are you targeting in the forward pack?
There's a lot of great forwards options in the mines. But, you know, I'd probably be looking fairly close to home if there was like a family member of someone. Warriors are really big on that culture of keeping family together, that real brotherhood of players. I reckon it might just be someone's brother.
Well, I love this bloke in the mines. I think he was a great player when I was watching the mines early on, and when I was commentating, and that's Sticks McGee. He's a Melbourne Raven. Ravens have been overshadowed by the Blue Tongues and the Firehawks this season. I thought the Ravens were superb, as do, I believe, Blair will follow in that opinion. Sticks McGee's my pick, but Liam Ryan only knows that answer.
And with the 10th overall pick in the SRL Season 6 Draft, the New Zealand Warriors take Yegor Markazi, the first Perth Hog to be selected. Congratulations, Yegor.
Snicko, got any words to say, mate?
Oh, I think Igor, he reminds me a lot of me on the Gunslingers. The team wasn't that great, but he has performed consistently week in and week out. A lot of the Hogs games were actually reasonably close, despite the losses. And I'm sure without Igor, they would have blown out much bigger. His strength rating, I was having a look earlier, isn't that great, but he's got to be strong to have put the Hogs on his back week in, week out like he did.
You heard it here first, folks. Snicko Bro has stated the Gunslingers were not good last season. I've heard it all. But no, Blair, what do you think, mate?
Yeah, look, Yegor can play. He's said a couple controversial things, perhaps.
Runs in the genes, mate.
Probably does. You know, he's his hussy. But, yeah, look, he can play, and let's see how the Warriors go next season. The only way is up.
I would like to congratulate the Warriors on becoming truly multicultural. There wouldn't be many teams with a Russian king lining up for them. But look, sponsorship maybe, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, like Snicko, he's a big hitter. He has an impact tackle of 80, so we're going to get some big hits off that bench. You know, it's a very big forward pack of the Warriors. While they may be a bit sluggish at times, which is okay, they can damage you until you're no longer recognizable. Like, they'll bash your head in.
Igor hits just as hard on the field as he does off it, from what I've heard.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, God. You two together are not going to be good. But moving on now. I'm not going to skip over them this time. The Eels. Boys, 2 more spots to fill in the 17 they have. They picked Rakumanu, which is probably going to be their fullback. Where do you see him going?
They need another outside back. They need another outside back desperately. So, yeah, they're going to pick someone in that back 5 again.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, speaking of Eels, we have the man himself, Eddie. If you could talk, please, brother. What's your insight on this?
Yeah, g'day there, guys. How are we all going? It's going to be really interesting to see who the Eels do choose. Cody Ogg has already been mentioned down there, and I've seen a couple of sims from the captain himself, Luke Short, around this idea, and Phoenix Murphy adding into that as well. So they've got some good ideas, some players from all around the SRL Mines competition wanting to have an effect in Season 6.
Well, no one knows it better than Eddie. He's got the Into the Minds podcast. Eddie, can you remind everyone at home who you played for within the Mines?
So I played for the Hamilton Swarm all the way over there in New Zealand, playing with Caleb Jeff, the beach sprint champion, and then Raikamano at the back there. So all that class players, Raikamano, who's already, I presume, has been spoken about in this podcast all early on. And it's an absolutely amazing group of players coming from the Swarm, and then coming to the Broncos after that.
Well,
Eddie, sorry, Dusty, to cut you off. Eddie, what do you think? I've heard some rumours that players have been told not to go to the Warriors or the Eels or the Knights. Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't heard anything about that, but
It'd be a pretty
sort
low
of,
act to do, hey?
it'd be
if
a
someone
really,
did that in my
yeah.
team, I wouldn't be happy.
Honestly, yeah, it really would be, and honestly, that'd have to be a question for the captains or other senior players in that leadership group. But I haven't really heard anything around those lines. And being honest, if you want to go to a club, it's a club that's had built culture, and they actually have done well with building that culture, and it's shown in their performance on the field.
what's your take on Phoenix Murphy?
Yeah, no, Phoenix Murphy sort of had a slow start to the season, coming off the bench originally from memory, and they might have had a few starting games from memory, but Phoenix Murphy's just done the job each game, done what you would expect of a Mines player, gets out there, does the hard yards, gets their job done, but most importantly, just keeps the standard of footy that the starting forwards have on the field, and that's just what Phoenix Murphy does, and that's what you expect of him, and that's what he does day in, day out.
Great insight there by Eddie. Eddie, please stay on the broadcast. Love to see you there, mate. Beam Ryan, my good old friend, please let us know who are the Eels picking.
With the 11th pick in the Season 6 SRL Draft, the Parramatta Eels select Cody Ogg, Bathurst Blue Tongues, centre.
Wow, another blue tongue. Like, are we surprised, boys? Won the grand final just recently. Always active in the chats. These boys are. Cody
I'm
Ogg.
quite surprised. I'm not surprised that Cody got drafted. I'm surprised that this many Blue Tongues got drafted. Perhaps recency bias. Perhaps people just like Blue Tongues that are active. But there was a lot of hate for the Blue Tongues, and so I'm shocked that all of them have been drafted so highly.
Well, just looking at Cody, he hasn't been able to max out anything of yet. That is yet. We'll see where Luke wants him to upgrade next season. Maybe Eddie could give us some insight. Eddie?
And no, Cody Ogg is no surprise going for the Blue Tongues picks here, the captains in the SRL. Coming off a premiership for the Bathurst Blue Tongues, and just what a game they had. The forward pack, the back line, they had it all, and that's how they got that grand final win. But overall, with Cody Ogg, you want to be maxing out speed, because that's what you need these days in the SRL. Any sort of gap or line break, and you want to have the speed to get through it. So that's what I think Luke Shaw will be hoping for this young winger prospect coming through here to focus on early next season.
Well, Blair, you've had a relationship with Luke Short. You've spoken to him previously. Do you see his insight into this?
I didn't actually hit Shorty up in the lead up to this, and I probably should have, to be fair. Yeah, look, I think this is a good pick. Cody Ogg was definitely someone I saw getting drafted. Like Snicko, I don't think I expected. Is that the 7th Blue Tongue now we've seen drafted?
I think so. Yeah.
So I mean that's an absolute majority of the draft so far, given we're at draft number 12. And so yeah, I'm not surprised to see Cody there. I do think again that they've definitely got some recency bias in their favour, but these blokes can play. In terms of Cody Ogg's stats, look, it can be really hard as a player starting out, particularly if you don't truly understand how Rugby League Live 4 works. Having a captain as a rookie or a fresh sort of ex-Mines player generally who can give you that direction give you that focus in knowing where to upgrade can really bring your game to the next level. Got to say, having Lachlan Martin, having Matty Harris, and having had Jack Carl as captains, they really gave me that chance to get my focus to the next level and understand how to optimize my player to the best of my ability. And I really think that that's allowed me to achieve more success than I would have otherwise. And I really hope that Shorty can do the same for Cody Ogg.
I'm glad you had all those captains, Blair, because otherwise, how could you talk about yourself on a podcast about the draft for the Mines players, which you are not one of? Anyway, if Riley Murray was such a good captain, how come Cody Ogg hasn't optimised his upgrades? That's all I have to say.
Well, Snicko, I think having an experience with Blair is what you need. He's been around the block a few times. He may not be as new as us, but he knows how this game works. And I think he'll be a great captain himself one day if he were given the chance. I'd love to see Blair take that.
Yeah, I've got an answer for that question there real quick just before we move on. Sort of early in the season, players weren't really, there was no sort of like leadership group. Yeah, you had Riley Murray there, but none of the boys really just got around him until late in the season. That's how the premiership came about. But players were just being ridiculous with their upgrades and, doing toe poke and all that type of stuff we joke about in the SRL, but some players there took it seriously. I'm not sure Cody Ogg did, but as clearly said, he didn't focus on his upgrades and he didn't really listen to what the captain was saying. Do this. It's what's best for your player moving into here. But either way, he's got in position. Congratulations to him.
Well, let's move on to Newcastle. Everyone that's a Cyrus Marks fan, get in the chat right now. I want to see you all right? Because surely this is the time that Cyrus Marks gets drafted. Boys, are we feeling a Cyrus Marks debut for the Knights next season?
I would love a Cyrus Marks debut. Father and son playing together. Dom get to guide Cyrus around. I think that would be the leading story out of this draft.
Blair, what about yourself?
Yeah, look, I definitely think that Marks can succeed there. I'm not sure if he'll end up going to Newcastle or if they'll end up picking another option, but he can definitely succeed there, and he's definitely got the best chance of success there.
Eddie?
Yeah, no, definitely would. How amazing would it be to see Cyrus Marks? Yes, he didn't get the win in the SRL Mines Grand Final, but how good would it be to see him there? Just what a player, what a person he is, and he can only get better there, to be honest.
Well, look, I'm jumping out of my seat as it is. I want to know. Liam, please tell me. Please tell the world. Is Cyrus Marks being drafted by the Knights?
You have to wait and see. And now will be the moment where we all find out. And with the 12th overall draft pick in the Season 6 draft, the Newcastle Knights select Miko Rashford, Perth Hogs, the centre.
If I had a sound right now to be an explosion or a shocked face, I would press it right now. Wow, Cyrus Marks has not been drafted, but congratulations on Miko Rashford. Another hog.
Definitely.
Sorry, you go, Blair.
I was just going to say, is that the second hog we've seen now?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay. That's a bit surprising for a team that lost all 10 games in the Mines. But yeah, look, Rashford's definitely a bloke who can play. 99 speed. His other stats are definitely a little bit low, and he'll need to work on them, particularly around his strength, his agility, and his acceleration is actually quite good. But his strength and his agility definitely need to go up a fair bit. So, look, with the captain focusing in and moving him forward to the next level, let's see how he goes.
I think Nico was only moved to fullback for the last maybe 2 games for the Hogs, and when he was moved there, he really excelled once he got there. He was stuck in centres for a bit and didn't really perform, but he's another player with a cool name, cool player, going to do well.
Yeah, no, definitely Miko Rashford. What a player he was, and he only got that one opportunity at fullback, and he already scored 2 tries for the Hogs. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. All enter. That's a good pick from them there, from the Knights. Well done.
To me, from that information and just like looking at him on the spreadsheet, I'm seeing him as that winger spot. What do you reckon? Because they've got Hone King, they've got Miko, Dylan Murray, and Dom Pongston. Boys, what's that back five looking like?
It's looking a bit young at the moment, isn't it? But it's only going to get better. Hone King, Miko Rashford, they're both two players who have upgraded what they've needed to upgrade it to earn the right to be picked to get into these positions. And lucky for them, the Knights, they had to fill a lot of positions in the backs. And luckily we had a wealth of talent coming up in the mines who upgraded what they needed to. So they're able to actually be competitive moving into the SRL. So they're going to be competitive, but they just need to have that experience around them, like Dom Pongston, just to get them around the park and just get their eye in and tuned on what they need to focus on.
Yeah, I agree. Knights, they're building, I think. And Dom is the man to... Dom as a VC there and Mark, other people to do that. Dom's not a veteran at the moment. He's still young in this game, but he knows his stuff. Of course, he was I played with him at the Firehawks. As a friend of Dom's, I'd love to see them go well next season. But if it comes up against Rabbitohs, we're gonna knock your socks off. Sorry, mate. Moving on now, though. We've got the Cowboys. They've signed Kobe Kelly. They got that winger spot, don't they? They need that forward spot. They need that 17-16. Where are we going, boys? Who are we picking?
I think it's important to note this has to be a 60 rated player as well, like Kobe Kelly was. So their options are quite limited.
That's great. Wow. Good insight there, Snicko. Boys, they're into the options then. No, all the blue tongues are out. They're all 61 or above, except Kobe Kelly, as mentioned. Pretty much all the forwards, except one, is out for the Firehawks. Swarm, none there, except one. There you go, very limited options. Blair, start with you first, mate. What team are you seeing that's going to get picked from? Surely the Ravens.
Look, I'm not quite sure where they'll go, but I still think they'll go for another outside back. So we've just seen Mika Rashford picked up by the Knights. And, there's this real focus, I think, on outside backs this draft around. I think that actually might just be due to the Storm coming in. They've pulled a lot of outside backs out of the system. So there needs to be a lot of outside backs coming in to fill those roles. I think they'll go for another outside back. Perhaps someone who can fill in a bit of more of a utility role, but definitely an outside back primary.
Okay. Eddie, what's your take on this, mate?
Yeah, well, Dustin, did you say that they're looking for a forward or they needed a forward position?
Well, looking at the teams that were given to us, they could go with a forward if they wanted to. They got Coven Romesley, Kevin Hodgson, Inari Takori on the bench currently. That's what I've picked. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion only, though.
Yeah, no, well, we've already heard about what backs they might be going for, but Harry Cheddar, one from the Swarm, they could be going from him. I think you've already mentioned him. But that's sort of really only the 60 rated forward out there. There's a few second rows, like Dunn there from the Ravens, as you said, but honestly, it might be looking for a back here. There's not many forwards to choose from.
Yeah, look, I agree. I don't know where they go. If they want an outside back, maybe they go for a second rower that can play centre. On top of that, they can play lock. But we'll see. Liam Ryan. Let's go, mate. What do we got?
With the 13th overall pick in the Season 6 SRL Draft, the North Queensland Cowboys select Callum Murray, second rower, Firehawks.
Toe
There you
poke.
Is this the bloke who's upgrading toe poke?
It might have been.
I'm
Well,
99% sure it is. 99.
where is it?
It is the same bloke.
He's got a 60.
Was
He's
that
got
the
a 70 toe poke. 70 toe poke there from the legend himself, Callum Murray. He can play second row, centre, and lock, of course. is actually a tackle breaker by default. Where we'll go with you first, mate. Where are we looking? What's happening?
On the
What do you think of
subject of players who need focus from their captain, looking back on it, I'm pretty sure the Callum Murray was, and what a name that is the bloke who was threatened with having his player deleted by Will Kay if he kept upgrading his toe poke. This is definitely going to be a leadership challenge for Chris Lord, but if anyone's up to it, Chris Lord is, and hopefully Lordy can get him in line and get some real performance out of him. If not, perhaps we'll see someone back in the mines in season 7.
If I was Chris
Potential.
Lord, I would probably look at it as a leadership experience rather than a challenge. Bit of salt, bit of pepper. Calamari will be good to go.
Eddie?
Yeah, no, definitely. A very good pick. Very versatile player. Second row lock center. That's literally anywhere in the park, middle side, and then on the wing there, pretty much. Stats-wise, you need to be focusing up on them, but you can play him anywhere if due to any suspensions, have people having to come off the bench in the back line or any of the forwards. So it's a safe pick there, Callum Murray.
Yeah, I agree. I think a second rower as a bench utility is probably the best pick a captain can make.
100%. There's a lot of options. Chrissy Lord could have gone with. We'll see how the Cowboys pan out because they got their 17 now. It's just performance based. But now, let's go on to, I believe, it's us. To me, South Sydney Rabbitohs. Boys, we've got our utility. I think now what I would think Liam's aiming for is that rookie forward. Halia said it in the group chat and in the chat earlier. So I love me some Joshy King. I don't know if it's the same Josh King who plays for Melbourne. If it is, hell yes. But we'll see. Boys, what's your take? Who should we be targeting? Well, Rabbitohs should be targeting. Claire, you first.
All right. Well, so I mean, this is really sort of depending on where you go with the starting lineup, but you're probably, I think, going to be looking for another utility. You need that bit of flexibility in where you can play. So your first round pick, that was Filippo Gould. I think he's your rookie forward in this case, and I reckon he'll be bringing someone in as injury cover, or Liam might start taking a page out of Matty Harris's playbook and start running in the starting centre as a middle forward in the last 20 minutes of the game. So I know I've said this a lot, and I know I haven't always been right about it, but I think it's time for another outside back.
Interesting. Look, I'm getting some pre-season vibes from this. If it's an outside back, and that if
they're not going to play Filippo Gould at hooker, that's who they should go after. Another hooker.
Go after another hooker?
Yeah, I think you have to strengthen the obvious weaknesses in your squad. Rabbitohs is at hooker. That's what I would target.
Okay. If that's the case, would you be looking at either Alan Berkeley or Rex Buckingham?
Rex Buckingham for sure. Galaxy or Goku Simpson, pick who you want. They're the same guy. Either of them, they're the guy. See what you can do. Put Hellier back to the bench spot, come on and play centre, watch him hit the request trade and find someone better.
All right, Eddie, your take on this, mate?
I reckon you just want somebody in there who's got a bit of flair, a bit of spark, somebody who's versatile, who can play either of those positions. Just somebody you can bring on towards the end of the game or when the game's in the balance at halftime or a bit before, and just absolutely run straight through the middles in the park and just get the job done for them. Somebody reliable, I reckon.
Well, let's go to my captain, Liam Ryan. Who we got for our final 17, Butter?
The 14th overall pick in the season 6 SRL Draft, the South Sydney Rabbitohs select Harris Andrews, winger, Perth Hogs.
There you go.
Oh.
A winger, an outside back. They called it. Boys, good job. Loving the work from you here, boys, here tonight.
Got to say,
definitely.
Harris,
Oh, you go, Blair.
I was just going to say, I've got to say, I'm surprised to see as many hogs as I have in the draft. I think we've only seen the one Raven so far. I think we might have only seen one Swarm player. But the Perth Hogs, I think that's their third. That's really interesting. And I think it really sort of shows that even if you're not part of the best team, you still do have that real chance of getting drafted from the mines
Look
into
at
the main
Blue Tigers.
SRL. Well,
yeah.
I mean, being premiers always helps. Nothing builds up hype like success. But yeah, look, let's see how he goes. Harris Andrews, he's definitely got a lot of speed on the table. Probably wants to beef up his strength a bit. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think Tyrone Clay is going to be our main winger. Luka Moscow is going to start. Who gets taken off for him? It would have to be a centre. Maybe Josh Saddle-Cart. Eddie, what do you think our plan or Liam's plan is with Harris?
Oh, well, honestly, you can play him anywhere. He's been all over the park for the Perth Hogs this season, playing out of position, playing in the centres, then got moved to the wing. You can put him. He's a winger centre fullback, so anywhere in that back line, he's going to be able to cover. His stats are good, 98 speed. They'll only get better. And then he's pretty similar to Miko Rashford stats wise, just a bit lacking in some areas, but that can easily be fixed with a couple of weeks of upgrades. Honestly, you can put him anywhere, but that definitely backline for injuries as well. But also just give him a 40-minute stint to see how he goes.
Yeah, I agree. Kevin Dixon had a number of injuries this year, unfortunately, where Tyrone Clay was moved to fullback. So that way, maybe he can cover Clay at the wing if that were supposedly going to happen. There's only that, but that's next season. We can't really tell.
Could you see Harris slotting into that Aaron White role? He's left you guys. Do you think that's a similar like-for-like swap?
I could see that definitely happening. But that's not until next season. Preseason hasn't even begun yet, so we need to focus on that first. We'll see how our lineups are going to go. Now that this squad is confirmed for us personally, I know Liam, Tyrone, and myself are going to be running a number of sims to see how we go. But enough talking about us, or the Rabbitohs, sorry. Canberra Raiders are up next, boys.
They're looking for more defence. That was very much where they're looking to go. They want to control the middle of the park, and they want to build on defense, or they want to build on their attack by defending their leads. I reckon they'll go for another defensive player.
I think so, honestly. And now that Josh King is still available, I think Canberra take him. He's played bench this season. He can cover second row, lock, and centre if need be. With their lock leaving, the Canberra Raiders lock leaving. Maybe King gets that spot, but Snicko, you're the forward expert here, mate. Where do you reckon a target?
I think when you're looking for an extra forward, second rower is the way to go, and Josh King's definitely the best option left. I have to wonder, signing both the Koalas, would you slot one into hooker and put Tim James at lock? Shores them up defensively, gets Tim James away from touching the ball so often, which could be a positive. I'm not sure. So they could potentially be going after a halfback, someone like McLucky.
Tough to say. Like, Eddie, what do you reckon? You're the hooker here, mate.
Oh, well, I've been talking to Tim James a bit more before and a bit after the grand final, and honestly, he's keen to stay in that number 9 position. Why get rid of somebody who's a 3-time winner of Hooker of the season?
Yep.
Why would you get rid of something that's working so well and somebody who's just proven year and season out they can get the job done?
Well,
and I reckon
he's never played lock, so how do you know he couldn't be 3-time lock of the year?
Why take the risk when you have somebody so confident in their art and just in their work at a hooker?
Look, got to risk it to get the biscuit, Eddie. That's what I would say.
You never know, but I'll go with what I think Blair said earlier. Somebody defensive, somebody who's just going to get the job done, somebody with a bit of pace and versatility. I think you said Josh King. Dustin?
Well, look, just on the Tim James, there's a reason why there's a medal named after him. I don't think you move him from hooker at all. Liam, most of the boys here are thinking defensively. Where are we going? Where's Canberra going? Tell us.
With the 15th overall pick in the Season 6 SRL Draft, the Canberra Raiders select Josh King, Bathurst Blue Tongues. Dusty, you nailed it right on the teeth there, and an underrated player Josh King is.
There you go, boys. Josh King. Great little signing. I'm a big fan of Joshy.
So that's two of the Blue Tongue second roles that have been signed. It'll be interesting to see whether it's Mobbo or whether it's Josh King who gets the start, because one will be starting, whether that's in centre or whether that's a second row, and you'd assume one would be going to the bench. Instinctively, as the starting player for the Blue Tongues, I would say that Mobbo's more likely to get into that role, but it'll be really interesting to see what decisions Jordan makes there.
Eddie, you're the Mines expert here. How good was Josh coming off the bench?
Oh, you can't describe it. He creates his own words for other people to talk about. And it was late in the season, just when coming off the bench, he had his effect. He's definitely a bench player, coming off the bench, nice and fresh, and he'll get the job done for the Raiders for sure. And just how well Raiders, form their forward packs these days in real life, and also compared to the SRL. You've got the best hooker in the league here, giving them some excellent ball. And what a choice it is. Josh King, congrats, man.
Snicko, you
I
come
know
off the
Josh
bench.
King. Oh, sorry. I thought you were letting me speak. I know Josh King was really nervous about not getting drafted. He was a bit of a latecomer to this Mine season, from what I can remember. So I think it shows that if you sort of put your name out there and perform well, you're always a shot of being drafted. If you haven't been drafted yet, there's one pick left, 2 picks left. Don't go away. It could be you.
Oh, just on that, 2 more picks left. We have the Broncos and the Seagulls to draft. But first, it's the Brisbane Broncos. Boys, they have a couple spots left. They have 1 spot left open, and I believe that is on their bench.
Yeah.
They took Ryan in the first round. Who are you targeting if you're Jack Carl?
Well, if memory serves, Ryan's a forward, so I reckon they might just go for a utility here. Someone who can slot into a few different roles. Probably someone who can slot into at least one backline role. And maybe someone who can come on at halftime in the centres, because Jack Cale does like that little trick where he has a centre coming on in the 60th on the auto sub.
Well, just on that. Back 5, Joey Kelly, Chase Williams, Brody Kennedy, Lucas Deuce, Justin Players. That's the potential, not confirmed, but potential back 5. Snicko, I'd like your opinion on this one.
I'm glad you asked. Looking at their lineup, I would think they'd be looking for a utility. I'd probably go a forward utility. I'd be looking at someone like Felix Windmill-Skeed. He can play hooker. He can play lock, which is 2 positions the Broncos aren't the strongest in. And he also has potential halves cover.
Interesting. Alrighty. Well, there's no point waiting around. Or Eddie, do you have something to say? You used to play for the Broncos.
You're friends with
Jack.
Yeah, been talking to Jack Carl. Cooper Gronk, he's going to be moving to that forward role for next season. I'm pretty confident on that. So definitely that utility role. They're not going to really be needing anybody to play in the forwards. They've got Talis Roof, Jake Scott, Cooper Gronk. They're all solid on that. So as Blair Curtin said, just somebody with a bit of spark, I reckon.
Alrighty. Well, let's see. Liam Ryan, take us away. Drum roll here, boys.
With the 16th overall pick in the SRL Season 6 Draft, the Brisbane Broncos select the highly awaited Cyrus Marks Firehawks.
Well done, mate. Well done.
Cyrus Marks, fullback for the Firehawks. Congratulations, mate. I know everyone has been waiting for it. Snicko said it himself, a bit of spark off that bench. Cyrus Marks, wow. What do we think of it, Blair? Your opinion first, please.
Good pick. Cyrus Marks, he's really got a lot of positivity. He can play footy really well. And I think he's going to be a great addition to this Broncos backline, whether it's coming on at the start of the game or whether it's coming on at halftime from that 16 or 17 jersey.
Well, Snicko, you're the one who pointed out a bit of a spark, I believe. Where are you thinking?
Yeah, I think that was a great pick by Cahill. I'm not sure it's a great pick for Cyrus. I know he had ambitions of a starting role. I believe maybe a month ago he said something along the lines of if he couldn't start, he'd go back to the mines. Maybe his opinion's changed. Maybe it hasn't. But yeah, look, great player, great person from what I can tell. Is he going to fit the Broncos culture? I'm not sure. Blair, you know more about it than I do. Do you think they'd take someone who said something like that?
I think when you're in the mines, it's really easy to say a lot of things. When you're a mines player, it's really easy to talk a big game. I think the realities of the SRL are going to occur to Cyrus pretty quickly. And I think he'll adjust. He's definitely got the heart. He's definitely got the strength to make that adjustment. I don't know what Kale wants to do with him, but I have a lot of respect for Cyrus. I reckon he'll do well.
Eddie, former Bronco.
Yeah, no, definitely. He's been really smart here, Jack Carl, and he knows that Cyrus Marks will, as I do myself, Broncos fan in real life and with your players, you want to keep them happy because an unhappy player, it might not affect their performance much on the field, but you don't want somebody in the sheds causing a racket, as Liam would know. But you want to just keep them calm, composed, and just, confident with themselves. And Cyrus Marks, he's a Broncos fan, and Jack's brought him to his heart, his favorite club. So he's wanting to be there. He's going to be happy there. And I'm sure he's going to do an amazing job for them.
Jack's actually just pinged me. He said, who's to say Cyrus doesn't get his starting wish? If you want to do that, go for it. I'd be so happy if you did. It would make your team worse, which is better for everyone else. You can say things like that all you want, but we all know Cyrus isn't going to be starting.
Well, look, if you play SRL Supercoach, you're going to love a good bit of Cyrus Marks starting, get him in that fullback spot early on. But boys, this is it. We have one more left. One more draft spot left. The 17th pick. It's from the Manly Sea Eagles. I won't announce it. That's Liam's job. Where do Sea Eagles hit first? Oh, I believe they have their outside back. Yeah, they got Holmesy. They need a forward, I believe. What forward is left that is worth picking up?
There's not many left, is there, Dustin? The captain's been smart by choosing who they've wanted, and if the player that they didn't originally want, it's all over the place. It's gonna be a trick. It's gonna be a trick one for us analysts to narrow down. Definitely will be. There's not much left out there, and I'm probably sure it's gonna be a player who's just been for this season of mine just under the radar, and just not really getting their shot. But it could be anybody.
Well, I think good old Matty Harris might go the old route of getting another hooker there, just in case. Do you think so?
No, Matty's definitely got absolute faith in Jimmy Ralph to be there 80 minutes every game, week in, week out. And look at how Ralphie played in the grand final. He's definitely got that ability to be there. So Manly's got a really strong culture. I think Matt will pick someone who really supports that culture, possibly someone he knows in real life and trusts with that, because that is something he does upon occasion, and it's really delivered Manly some great results, and there's no arguing with that. So I'm not 100% sure what way it's going to go. I think it's definitely going to be someone in the scrum pack. It might be a prop, it might be a second rower, it might be a lock, primary. I'm just not sure which out of those three he'll go for.
Well, they've got Creed Alex Chapman there, Snicko. With Matty Harris moving to second row, supposedly, do they go and get a backup lock? Or who
I'm
starts lock?
if I'm Matty Harris, I'm thinking I've won a couple of rings. Let's see how much fun we can have. And dude, it's time for the new sensation. 17th pick, Goku Simpson, lock it in.
Goku Simpson. Right. Well, I know Liam Rogers is in the chat, been chanting his name every time he could. Liam Ryan, is it Goku Simpson?
We will have to find out in this draft pick. And with the 17th overall and the last pick of the draft in season 6, the Manly Seagulls select Cameron King, Melbourne
Cameron
Ravens.
Another Raven.
That's the first Ravens player, and that will be the last Ravens player, as this is the end of the draft.
Wow. Thank you, Liam Ryan, for announcing those picks. Sorry to cut you off at the end there, mate. But one Raven. Wow. Boys, what's your position on Cameron King? Eddie,
Bloke
I'll
can
get you to
play.
go first.
Oh, sorry.
Bloke can play. That's Blair's. Blair, can you please elaborate?
Look, Melbourne Ravens were probably the most successful team in the comp. While it was more or less purely Mines players, Firehawks pulled ahead a bit when they got Corey Bell in, and the Blue Tongues pulled ahead at the end with Sonny Tyre. So I'm honestly a little bit sad that only one Raven's been drafted in this whole process, because they're such a good side. They've run a long way under the radar. I really hope Cameron King does well, and he really shows what those Melbourne Ravens can do. Because, I mean, my only sort of thought is there must be a few Melbourne Ravens lined up for dev contracts.
No, definitely there. Yeah, a bit of surprise in it, but it's one of the teams that really haven't been delved into during this draft. Not many players coming from them, so it's a bit of surprise. But then looking back at it, nobody's been coming from there. And the Ravens were sort of a team that had to build it from scratch. All players first season in the Mines, and they held their own against those players having a couple of second seasons. Rakamani for the Swarm, just a couple of others in there. But Cameron King, what a player he is, and I'm sure he'll get the job done for them.
Well, Snicko, your opinion on only one Raven being drafted? What do you
Look,
think,
I'll
mate?
be honest. You could put the Ravens players in a big picture, chuck them in a crowd and tell me to point them out, and might as well close my eyes and draw circles because I have no idea who they are. If you're not active in the chat, you're not going to get drafted. It's as simple as that. Cameron King's gotten lucky. I haven't seen him type ever. Not a bad player. Not a bad player, that's true. But yeah, look, you got to do the best you can to make yourself known to the captains, and the Ravens really just didn't do it. And well, that's you get what you get, and you don't get upset if you're not going to go out and get things, and you're not going to get things given to you. And I think that's the Ravens all over.
Well, yeah, that's fair. I thought there's a number of talent. There's a lot of talent there. Felix Stoder, Johnny Dokulich, Bex Buckingham, Lightning McCreen. That could be there. Have the spot for dev contracts. Now, boys, let's go over some statistics of this draft, eh? On position, 5 wingers and 5 second rowers were drafted. 3 centers, 3 locks, and 1 fullback. No hookers, no props. What do you make of that?
Any halves?
No halves.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just
So-
think this is where the meta's going. It's unfortunate. I think the meta is leaving the prop primary behind.
Definitely.
Anything the prop primary can do, the lock primary can do better, except for play second row. And the second row primary can play second row better than the prop can play second row. So that's going to be left behind. I think teams broadly have their spine sorted. If they get an injury to their fullback, they'll just slot one of the other back five in and pull a utility from a dev contract onto the bench. So the spines are pretty much settled. I think if it wasn't for Tyre and if it wasn't for Corey Bell, then maybe there'd be some more room for movement in the spine and we might have seen a half get drafted. But them's the break sometimes, and this season a half getting drafted just wasn't to be.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely. I have to agree with Blair. Just, the experience and the class is all here in the SRL at the moment, and we didn't really need to bring anybody else younger in. But also talking about a fullback gets injured, some of the choices with previous clubs actually choosing a centre or a fullback to be on the bench, just in case. So you don't need to take your half out of that position. So a couple of safety play calls there from some of the captains, but overall, yeah, no halves being chosen. No surprise, but there's always next season here.
Well, let's go into the clubs that were prominently displayed. All clubs were displayed. However, some more than others. 8 Blue Tongues, 3 Firehawks, 3 Hogs, 2 Swarm, 1 Raven. Snicko, I'll get your opinion on the Blue Tongues. Mate, we've said a bit about them.
Yeah, look, Marcus Square, he's my man. Sonny Tyre, great player. The rest of them, I don't know. I reckon they smell like what Marcus's backpack. They know what Marcus's backpack smells like because they spent a whole lot of time in there this season. Look, a number one pick from the Blue Tongue was probably going to happen. It was pretty known to a lot of people where Riley Murray was going with Will Kay. I think if any other club drafted, it might have been different. I think the Hogs have been well represented. They didn't win a game and had 3 players drafted still. Ravens unlucky. But like I said, if you're not active, then, well, you're going to stay in the mines. I do feel for a lot of second-year mines players, guys like Rex Buckingham, Matt Galaxy, Davo, 911, Nofalengawi, Steve Kutsumas if he's still around. It's hard. It's hard staying in the mines. I wouldn't know personally, but from what I've heard, it's pretty tough. And yeah, I think that next year maybe they're going to try and make a super squad like they did with the Firehawks to start with a lot of the returnees, and hopefully they can get a crack later on.
Yeah, I think some clubs were luckier than others at times. Ravens not so much. I thought their talent is more superior than what we've seen here. A couple of dev contracts coming. Blair, your closing thoughts on the draft?
I think overall it's a pretty conservative draft. No real spine picks, no hookers, no halves. As established, I think that was definitely influenced by a couple of the players coming through who made sure that any holes from expansion were filled with higher ranked players. That's a bit unfortunate, and maybe that's a bit of a structural thing for the SRL to address in the wake of next season. But lots of outside backs, lots of middle and edge forwards. So very conservative draft, but I look forward to season 6 and best of luck to the boys.
Well, Eddie, mate, you didn't get drafted this year because you got brought up very early on from the Broncos. What's your closing thoughts on this draft, being a rookie yourself?
Yeah, being brought up very early and not getting the pleasure of playing a full mind season on my belt. But closing thoughts, being a Brisbane with Jack Carley, he did everything that, a rookie would need, and Cyrus Marks would do an amazing job there under his guidance. And to all of the other players being drafted, hopefully, the captains have done their research clearly by looking at who's been drafted before, the final draft, and every club has gotten what they needed from the mines this season, and all there is left to say is Dustin bring on season 6 of the SRL Premiership.
Thank you, Eddie. Now, finally, Snicko, I'll get your closing thoughts, mate. I guarantee you got some out-of-pocket things to say, but just remember, rein it in a little bit.
I'm not sure why you would think that, Dusty. I was just going to say it's been a great draft. Congratulations to everyone who's been drafted. There's a few haters in SRL chat. My DMs are always open if you want to express your wrong opinions to me. I'll listen. I'll tell you why they're wrong. I got no problem with that. To everyone still in the mines, like keep grinding away. It's tough in there. Maybe it's tough for them. They're still there. And yeah, bring on season 6.
Well, let's get about the announcer for tonight, Liam Ryan. What are your thoughts? Any surprises from you?
No, Dusty, I don't think there was any real big surprises. Maybe a couple small ones, but for me, the draft went as a captain. It went pretty similarly how I thought it would. The biggest snub of the draft, if I had to choose one, was probably Felix Wimwell-Skeet. Obviously, he had an incredible season for the Blue Tongues. Probably a bit unlucky not to get selected, but I don't think the demand in the SRL is hookers right now. So maybe a bit unlucky for him.
I would agree. My thoughts, I think this was a draft that a lot of people were expecting. A bit of surprises every now and then. Some names that weren't able to be picked or didn't get picked that also surprised people. Goku Simpson, mate, if you're out there, your time is coming. To everyone who didn't get drafted, continue to grind. Not everyone gets drafted. For instance, Dom Ponson, current VC of the Newcastle Knights, didn't get drafted. He got signed afterwards. Just remember, there's still some spots to be filled.